We have got a great speaker today, and his name is Mr. Thomas Petty, and I get the privilege of introducing him to us this morning. He's been an independent web and digital marketing consultant for nearly 20 years, and before that was in charge of Chevron's back office web portals for all Chevron gas stations. I've spent a lot of money with you over the years, Thomas. Currently, he's a WordPress.
Unfortunately, that didn't help me.
Right. Currently, Tom is a WordPress website security expert. He's worked with solopreneurs, nonprofits, Fortune 500 companies, and large government contractors on website security. He's unhacked dozens of websites and hardened them against intrusion. Um, he is married and a wicked stepfather to two adult stepdaughters. It's a nice Cinderella reference there.
Yep.
In his or Cinderfella, I guess, was the
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis movie. Uh, Jerry Lee Lewis is a whole different thing. In his spare time, he grows better than organic vegetables with no dirt using an automated vertical aeroponics system. Interesting. And today he is going to talk to us about cybersecurity for the rest of us, how to keep from getting hacked. And so, with that, I will say, hey, welcome, Tom Petty, Mr.
Well,
Tom Petty.
thank you. Yeah, just don't ask me to sing. Nobody wants to hear that. Let me see if I can figure out how to share my screen here.
You should have that access already.
Yeah, I just want to share the right screen. All right. So, yeah, just if anybody's interested, this is my what's called a tower garden. This is my back deck. We have no backyard. And this was last summer when I was growing vegetables on the deck. My backyard is the golf course, so that's what it looks like. So how you can grow vegetables on automation with no dirt. So some people even put these in their garage. There's grow lights, and you can grow all kinds of stuff in a small space. So thank you for having me be the speaker today. Cybersecurity is kind of a passion of mine, and it's just something that we all need to pay attention to. So I wanted to kind of talk about cybersecurity at a high level. I don't want to get too far down in the weeds because it's, I geek out on some of this stuff, but I don't want to put you guys in a coma. And so my thing is, it doesn't matter who you are or how little your business is. The bad guys want in. It doesn't matter. They're knocking on the door 24/7, and it's just stunning how much people are trying to get into systems. Back in the day when I was at Chevron, we actually had a server that accidentally got plugged in outside the firewall. It had already been configured and everything had been all set up, and it accidentally got plugged in for 15 minutes outside the firewall. So we assumed that it was already compromised. We unplugged it, reformatted the whole thing, and started all over again because it's just, they're constant, and there's just no getting around it. So, they want your money and they want your data, which can be traded for money. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit today at a high level. And I like to have people ask questions as I go. So if you got a question, go ahead and raise your hand. And Jeff, if you can kind of keep me honest, if I don't see somebody raising their hand, let's just ask questions as we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So before I get started, a couple of things here. Number one is down at the bottom of each of the rest of the slides, I've got a link there, the thomaspetty.com/Boss Academy. So I set up a resource page for Boss Academy. Everything I'm going to talk about today, I've got links, I've got videos, I've got, all kinds of stuff that you can get. So you don't really need to take notes if you don't want to, because it's all out on that Boss Academy page. So I encourage you to check it out after the meeting today. And I'm also hoping that somebody out there on this call will be brave And if you have a WordPress website, probably half of you have a WordPress website. I'd love it if you would be willing to put it in a chat, and we will do a light security audit on your website. And so Sandra, thank you. Oh, you've got my you've got my link there. Well, it doesn't do any good to probe my website because I've got it locked down.
Well,
But anyway,
I'll give you ours, Tom, and we'll see what that is.
okay, cool. Thank you. Well, we'll take a look at it, and I promise not to expose anything sensitive. I want to demonstrate a few things that people can just pay attention to. Jeff, thank you. If we get the time, I'll do that as well. So what are we going to cover today? So I've got some terminology that we're going to learn. We're going to talk about spam, and primarily email spam. You know, are you sending out spam? Are people sending out spam using your email address? We're going to talk about passwords. What is better than passwords? Passwords is something that we all need to pay attention to, because the bad guys are trying to get into systems by brute forcing your passwords. And we'll talk about how you can protect yourself against that. We're going to talk about your private data. It's all out on the dark web. Protecting your systems, primarily your business from disaster, but also your personal systems. And then we will talk a little bit about website security. And again, I'm not going to get down into the weeds on all of this stuff, because I really don't want to, put you to sleep here, but do ask questions, and we'll go from there. Excuse me. So some basic terminology. You've probably heard of the term spoofing. And if you've ever seen somebody that, on Facebook that goes, oh, don't accept a friend request from me because I've been hacked. And well, they haven't been hacked, they've been spoofed. They have, somebody has copied their page and started inviting people to be a friend, to send friend requests. And this is called spoofing. And it's very easy to do. But a simple thing that you can do on Facebook to protect yourself against somebody spoofing your account is hide your friends list. Make your friends list private, and then the spoofers won't copy you. So that's something that you want to pay attention to. But email is very easy to spoof, and I've got some examples that I'm going to show you here in a minute. Hacking is actually breaking and entering into your system. So somehow they got your password, whether they guessed it, whether they brute forced it, whether they social engineered it. But breaking and entering into your system is called hacking. And when you combine spoofing with phishing, spoofing with hacking, that's called phishing. And phishing is luring people to do things that they normally wouldn't do, like, give us your password or give us your, whatever information. And phishing is the number one way that hackers get into systems. So it's something that we all.
David Steers got a question.
David, yes, sir.
Hey, Thomas. Thanks for speaking today. A day doesn't go by where I don't get somebody who sends me a message and say, hey, my boss looked at your LinkedIn profile, and we'd really like to talk with you. Why don't you communicate with us on WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Is that a spoof?
Yeah. Well, it's not a spoof. They're trying to get your WhatsApp account or user ID or whatever. I don't use WhatsApp, so I get those all the time too. And, or I get messages on LinkedIn. Hey, is there a better way to communicate with you? No, this is it. You're communicating with me. So
Yeah.
Piss off.
Or do you mind if I ask you a question? Well, you just asked me a question. So.
Yeah. Yeah. All of those, I just delete them. It's like, if you've got a legitimate question, ask me a real question. It's nonsense. What they're trying to do is get you into a conversation and start getting you to expose your data, whether it's your phone number, your cell phone, your WhatsApp account, whatever it is. And I delete those messages. I don't even respond.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
It's a cesspool out there, LinkedIn.
It really is. It really is. So yeah, we have to be vigilant. Which is a good segue into this. And so this is a screenshot of my inbox a few weeks ago. And I've grayed out most of the emails, but the two that I'm highlighting there, one is an email from Verizon and one is from Stripe. And Stripe is my payment processor. So when I take payments from my customers, it all goes through Stripe. And the email here, I saw this first on my cell phone and it says, payouts are paused. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what, huh? Why are you pausing payments? So these are things that we need to watch out for, and I'll explain why. So Anne, you had a question.
Yeah. So recently I went to a talk that a professor from Cal was talking to this group of seniors from Stanford University. And his point with the whole basically scam is basically if he's got, and I'll look for the handout that I got, but basically if somebody reaches out to you and interrupts you and tells you there's a problem with something, that's a sign, that's a red flag. And then his big point was, instead of clicking on, say, the link in this email, go to the link that you've got for it. But anyway, if you guys want, I'll find that document and share it, because it's amazing how easy it is to fall prey to this.
Yeah. Thank you. You stole the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. We got one more, Tom.
Yeah, James. You're muted.
James.
Instead of giving a credit card number, which always makes me nervous to type a credit card number into, which I know is an honest website, would we be better off having everything set up with a PayPal or Stripe to pay those things online?
Yeah. So the advantage of PayPal, and I actually personally can't stand PayPal, but it's a different subject.
Good. No, but I understand.
Well, from a business perspective, I don't like taking PayPal, but from a user perspective, it is a safer way to pay because your credit card information is not exposed, and you can have a strong password. You can have two-factor authentication, which I'll talk about in a few minutes.
Right.
So you can lock down those things.
Okay.
Another one that is interesting, and I don't know if other companies do this, but Capital One allows you to create what's called a virtual credit card. So you can log into your Capital One account and you can say, hey, I'm going to pay this online system, and you create a virtual credit card number that is valid, and you can say it can only be used once. And so you go and pay whoever that is that you're paying, and then the credit card number expires, and even if it's stolen, it doesn't matter because it can never be used again.
Okay.
So Apple does that too.
I'm sorry?
Apple does that too.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little feature there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great questions. So kind of getting back to these emails, and what Anne was saying is both of these emails have what's called a stressor subject. In other words, it's causing me stress because it's like, oh, your hair's on fire. You got to do something. Your card on your account is about to expire. You better log in and do this. Your payouts on Stripe are, paused. We're not paying you. So it's like, oh shit, I got to do something. And so I first saw these emails on my phone before I'd had my coffee, and I looked at the Stripe email, and it's like, well, I got to do something about this. And then it's like, okay, take a breath, step back. Let's not do this on the phone when you haven't had your coffee. And I later logged on to my Stripe account, and there's no message there. And this Stripe email was a complete phishing email. So Everything looked legit. Everything, all the links looked legit. The only thing that was not legit was there was a big button that says log into your account. And I wouldn't have been able to tell this on my cell phone, but on my PC, I could see that the link went to a bit.ly link. It was a shortened link. And I never click on bit.ly links that I don't know where they're coming from, because it could have had a payload, it could have had a virus, it could have, who knows. And likely it would have asked for my user ID and password to get into Stripe, blah, blah, blah. So
and also, if you go to the email header, isn't it almost always from a different email address or something
yeah,
that doesn't isn't actually Verizon Wireless or Stripe?
yeah,
It's kind of strange email header that's on there.
that's a good clue. And I also know that Stripe, for instance, has a blue check mark, so they've got a validated email address that this email did not have. So the big picture here, or the big point here, is if you get one of these emails that it's, oh, you've got to log in and do something right now, whatever it is, don't do it through the email. Go log on to Verizon, go log on to Stripe, go log on to Xfinity, go log on to whatever system it is. And if there's a problem, there'll be a message at the top, oh, your credit card's expired. Okay, now I can fix it. And it doesn't matter who the email came from, just don't click the links.
Right. Yvonne?
Yeah, Yvonne?
What if you're like not paying attention and you're stupid and you click on it and then 2 seconds later you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, so you delete it?
Well, it depends. The link is likely going to take you to a lookalike page to enter your login credentials. They're very good at copying the real page, and you're thinking you're logging into Stripe or whoever. And then at that point, now they have your user ID and your password. So in some cases, just clicking the link isn't going to do anything, but it's also possible that the link has a payload on it. So it may put a keyboard logger on your computer, it may install a virus, it may, install stuff on your computer. Or worse, the worst case is, I just blanked on it, ransomware. It could install ransomware that then locks down your computer, and unless you pay them $1,000 in Bitcoin or whatever it is, you can't get your computer back. And I'll talk about how you can get around that in a minute. So yeah, it's just be aware. So anytime you see an email that says, the world's on fire, you got to do something right now, just take a breath, go log on to whatever the system is and deal with it over there.
And
Yeah, one more thing. I was going to a meeting the other day and I clicked the link and it took me to a different place a couple times and I backed out. Do I need to probably pay attention to, that they could have gotten something on my, loaded something on my computer from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It's possible. My strong recommendation is that you should have Norton 360 installed on your computer, whether you're on a PC or a Mac, because they will block attacks that will come into your computer and install stuff. So, people think, oh, well, Macintosh is secure. It's like, no, you need to have the Norton 360 installed there as well. So,
Great, thanks.
yeah, so that's a great question. Okay, so it's just, the point of all of this is just be really vigilant about incoming emails. And pay attention. Just don't blindly click on stuff because it may have a payload or may have other issues. So then what about outgoing emails? I'm guessing that most of you have a domain-based email address that you're sending from. I send stuff out from thomaspetty.com and whatever your domain is. And in February, both Google and Yahoo changed the rules on email deliverability. And as marketers, we want to make sure that our emails get to our clients. And especially if you use, or if your clients are corporate clients, corporate anti-spam rules are draconian and they're going to be difficult to get past. So you need to make sure that you have enabled the new rules, which I don't want to get into the details about, but it's kind of an acronym soup. So if your IT company or whoever supports you hasn't talked to you about SPF, DKIM, DKIM, or DMARC, the DKIM and DMARC are the two rules that Google and Yahoo recently implemented. It's likely that your outgoing emails are more likely to be delivered into a spam folder. And you need to think about what systems you use that you send emails from. Do you use Constant Contact or MailChimp or Kajabi, or does your website send out emails when somebody signs up for a lead magnet? Whatever systems you have that are sending email on your behalf from your domain, you need to have the DKIM and DMARC rules set up. And I just wrote a lengthy article and sent it to Paul. He's going to post it on the Boss Academy website. Apparently, it's the first blog post on the Boss Academy website, so I'm honored about that. But it details out what the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC rules are and why you need to have these in place. So if you have questions about that, reach out to me. You can go to the Boss Academy page on my website, and I'm happy to review that with you, and we can take a look and see what you got going there. So the other thing is that when I started investigating this and I set up on my own DKIM and DMARC rules, I discovered that people in Russia have actually been sending out spam messages using my email address, and they're getting delivered, which is I've excuse me, locked down the rules on my domain now, so they're mostly getting delivered to spam. But I was shocked to see that almost every day there are emails going out with my email address that are spam that are being sent from Russia. So if you don't have the DMARC rules in place and you don't have the reporting turned on, you'll never know that this is going on. So it's something to pay attention to. Tom.
Yeah, I set up all that DMARC DKIM stuff for ours, and I get, I don't know, like 30 reports come in every time we send out our newsletter.
Yeah.
But the reports themselves are utter gobbledygook. I have no idea what they're trying to tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're XML formatted reports, and basically every receiving email server, whether it's Comcast or Gmail or whoever, they're all going to send you back a report that's here's all the emails that I received from you. And yeah, they're impossible to interpret. So you have to set up a tool that is going to give you the reporting. They're going to interpret what those reports are and show you what's being delivered, what's not being delivered, who's sending, where it's coming from, and set up the rules around that. I use a tool called Easy DMARC. There's a link to it in the Boss Academy page on my website. And if you use Cloudflare has a free tool that you can use. So it gives you the details that you need to be able to interpret those horrible messages. So
wow, thank you.
I feel your pain.
It's incredibly ironic that we send out legitimate emails that get redirected because of these rules, and then the Russian hackers are sending out spam emails off our accounts that are actually being delivered to the people that we were trying to reach in the first place. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that. It's like, really, guys, come on. So I have no idea what the emails are, but it's just like, So yeah, you gotta pay attention, and especially with the new rules from Google and Yahoo, it's more likely that your stuff is being dropped into the spam folders and not ending up in your clients or prospects inbox. So happy to have a conversation with you if you want to take a look at that. All right, passwords. Passwords are terrible. It is not secure. A good portion of us reuse the same password in multiple systems, and your passwords are on the web. So there have been all kinds of companies that have been hacked. Target, Equifax, LinkedIn got hacked a couple of years ago. There's all kinds of companies that have been hacked, and it exposes your email address, your passwords, your, in the case of Equifax, social security numbers, your, all of your data. And if you're reusing the same password on multiple accounts, guess what? The hackers are going to go, oh, look, Tom is using password 1234. Let me go try and log into Facebook. Let me go log into LinkedIn. Let me go log into Amazon. Let me go log into all these systems. And they're just going to dance through my systems and take over.
Tom, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you go back in and you go to set up either to change your password, or you're going to a new site where you're going to create an account and do a password, and it recommends recommends strong password, and it puts all this gobbledygook. How secure are those really?
Yeah. Next slide, I will answer your question.
Perfect.
So, great question. So according to Norton, 24 billion with a B passwords were exposed in 2022. So it's, your password is out there. You can actually go to a website and you can Google this. There's a link on the Boss Academy page. It's called Have I Been Pwned, PWNED, and you can just Google it and type in your password, or type in your email address, and it'll tell you every place that your email address has been exposed. So I typed in my wife's email address the other day. She used to use weak passwords. She hates that I've changed all her passwords to strong passwords. And she's been exposed 13 different places because she goes onto shopping sites and, wherever. And through various hacks, she's been exposed. So it'll probably scare you a little bit if you go to the Have I Been Pwned website, and you can see where you've been hacked. So Jeff, to your question about how strong your passwords are, I used to use 8-character passwords. That's pretty common. And you can see that an algorithm can actually hack an 8-character password with numbers and upper and lowercase and symbols in about 5 minutes. So it's very, very weak. I've switched to 16-character passwords. My Apple password for my iCloud account is 24 characters long. It's a pain in the ass to type in. But my Apple password, it's connected to my payment methods. It's connected to all my devices. It's, if that gets compromised, it's like somebody's going to just take me out. And so I want that password to be ridiculous, that nobody can ever hack that password.
And you shouldn't save the password either, right? You should, to be the most secure you can be, you should have to retype it in every time you visit the site, right?
Good point. So yeah, every time and especially on sensitive sites like your bank, your credit card, they've always got the checkbox that says, remember my password, or remember me for 30 days, or, that kind of thing. Don't ever check that, because what that's done is, not to get too technical, but it's created what's called a session cookie on your computer. And Yvonne was asking about, well, what if I, click a link that I shouldn't have? It's possible that the payload from that is that it grabs all your cookies And that session cookie then can be transferred to somebody else. They can log into your bank, your credit card, your Facebook, whatever it is, and without your user ID, without your password, and without your two-factor authentication. So don't ever check that. Don't ever check the box that says, remember my browser. The other thing is that if somebody steals your computer or your laptop, that's all stored in your browser, and then they can just dance through your systems. A lot of people use the feature, I hate this feature in browsers, to save my password. Don't use it. Because again, if somebody steals your computer, then all they have to do is go to any account that you've got your password stored, and they don't have to know your user ID or your password, and they can get in and do whatever damage they want to. So let's see. So passwords are weak, and it doesn't matter how strong your passwords are.
Question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Yvonne, go ahead.
So you're probably going to cover this, but how do you protect your passwords then?
Well, thank you for that question. Here we go right now. So the number one thing you need to do is use a password manager. A password manager is going to generate random passwords for you. You never want to reuse a password. A lot of us use, I've got my favorite key combination and I add 2024, 2023, or some combination so that I can remember it. And it's easy for hackers because your passwords are in the wild and go, oh, Tom is using this key combination. I see he put in 2022. Let's try 2023. Let's try 2024. And they'll get in. So you have to use a password manager. I recommend 1Password. LastPass is another one that I've been using for many years. And what they do is they generate random passwords for every system, and it attaches to your browser so that then when you log into Bank of the West or Bank of America, whatever, it knows, okay, I've got your user ID and password stored, and it will insert that into the login page so you don't have to remember these ridiculous passwords. So that's step one. The other piece that you have to have is two-factor authentication. So you've got your user ID and your password. That's your first step in authenticating you. Your second step is what's called a token that they text you or email you a 6-digit PIN, for instance. It's like, okay, you validated your user ID and password, but now let's really prove that you are who you are. And I'm going to send you a text message, or I'm going to send you an email, and you have to put in that second token, the second factor to log in. So you need to be setting up two-factor authentication on all your systems, no matter what they are. And again, this is a pain in the butt, and I get it. I don't like using the email authentication because if somebody manages to guess your password and take over your email account, then if Amazon sends that second factor to your email address, then they can still get in. So use an authenticator app on your phone. Text message is fine. Or if you hate typing in the digits, you can use this little device. It's called a YubiKey. You can get them on Amazon for $50. It plugs into your computer, works with your iPhone. So you just hold it up to your iPhone and it sends that second factor so that then you can securely log in. And this will prevent 99.9% of the hacks, so that even if somebody manages to guess your password, they still can't get in because they don't have the second token. Does that make sense?
Yeah, question
Yeah.
though, if you have this set up, what if the cookie, whatever stuff that you were saying, like if you they take that session cookie, does that the same thing? It's going to have even though if they took your session cookies, if you have 2FA set up with like the YubiKey type thing, they wouldn't be able to get in. Is that
Nope,
right?
wrong. Yeah,
Well,
that's the problem, is the session cookie
okay, overrides.
has already authenticated you. You are logged in, and that's
Right.
why you never want to check the box and say, keep me logged in, because then your session cookie could be stolen. And I've seen it. I just saw a demonstration of this a couple weeks ago, and it was just like, yeah, I'm going to log into my whatever account. And I mean, it was a little bit staged. But the second person stole the cookie, and then he logged right in, and boom, he was in, even though he had two-factor authentication set up. So yeah, there's
So Tom, you said that the YubiKey works with iPhone. What if you don't have an iPhone?
it works with other devices. The Android, it needs to be a more modern version of the Android. The older Androids, it's not going to work with, but it works with Bluetooth. So you just hold it up to the phone, and it works.
Tom Collins.
With
Yeah, the session cookie thing, so that's if you check the box about keep me logged in.
Mhm.
And I want to make sure I thought that when you first said it, that you were talking about like when you tell the browser to remember your ID on a specific site, but you still have to put the password in, you still have the two-factor. Is that still secure, or is that the same problem as the session?
Yeah, if you're logging out and you have to put in your password each time, then you are not exposing yourself with a session cookie theft.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, good question.
with the password managers, is it obvious once you go onto the website how to connect it to your computer and so on?
Yes. So there's a browser extension that you install that will automatically put your user ID and password in. 1Password also generates the two-factor authentication. So you don't even have to have a text message or a second, a YubiKey. And it will automatically put those things in. The other thing about the password manager is you want to, in the settings, turn it off after a certain amount of time, so that after 6 hours of me not using it, log out. Or if I close my browser, log out. Because again, if somebody steals your computer or your laptop, you don't want that thing to stay logged in all the time. You want to keep that so that it's not staying logged in all the time. You have to put in your user ID and password. So
Tom, let me jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
I know we're getting close to the top of the
Yeah.
hour, but I don't have anywhere to be. I'm going to stay on, so I want you, Tom, to just keep going, run this out as long as we have to. Those that can stay, great. If not, I want to make sure that we get all of this recorded so that it can be uploaded to Boss Academy, so that anybody that has to leave, in the next couple of minutes, can have access to the entire presentation.
Definitely. Yeah, and do look at the page on my website, and if anybody has any questions, I've got my contact link on there. Just shoot me a note. I'm happy to connect with anybody. So, and I've just got a couple more slides, and then we can maybe look at hacking a couple of websites. Okay, you should feel naked and afraid. So your data is out there, your name, your email address, your address, who your spouse is, who your kids are, your parents, your social, it's all out there. And it is being used by people to social engineer you and target you. So a couple of things that you can do, like if you're getting a bunch of spam calls, you can go to donotcall.gov, which is the national opt-out of commercial phone calls. I don't know how effective it is. The spammers, they don't care. They don't abide by that, but it is something that you can do and register your cell phones or your landlines if you still have those. So there are also data broker removal services. I personally haven't used any of these, but you can sign up for these services. They charge a nominal fee, $100 a year or something, and they will go out to the data broker services and say, delete Tom Petty's stuff, delete his wife's stuff, and delete all of that stuff so that it's not being brokered and sold out on the web. So that's something to consider. Oh, one point that I forgot to mention on the protecting yourself. A third option here, which is starting to become more common, is called passwordless logging, passwordless login, so that you don't have to have a user ID and a password and a two-factor and all this stuff. It's called a passkey. And some systems are starting to accept passkeys, and it's tied to your device, your computer. So it's a long, random set of characters that then authenticates you into that system without having to use a password manager and a user ID and a password and a two-factor and all that kind of stuff. Apple does a pretty good job of managing your passkeys. Windows is not as good about it. So it's something to consider and utilize where you can. But this is, again, why I have a 24-character password on my iCloud account, because it's got my passkeys in there. And I sure don't want anybody to have access to those passkeys, because that would be disastrous.
Jim Flaherty.
Yes, I was so fascinated by that. Have I been pawned, that I just tried it.
Yeah.
And found I have two passwords. One is on my website, which is open all the time to the world. And I did that, and they said, no, nothing. Never been. And then on my regular password, the one I use for daily living, 21 data breaches and found no paste. Now, what does all that mean?
I don't know what the pace is, but yeah, it means
pastes, like pasting something.
Oh,
Yeah.
pasting. Okay. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that, but it means that your password has been exposed in all of these various breaches, like Target and LinkedIn and eBay and, Equifax, whatever. So that's
But then they
just
say,
telling.
and found no pastes though. So
Okay.
whether maybe
So it may not be actively being used, but it
right.
means you've been exposed. It doesn't mean
Okay.
you're protected, but you are definitely exposed.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, real quick here, disaster preparedness. One of the things that we don't think too much about is making sure that our systems are backed up, whether it's your phone, your computer, your website, and websites especially. If you have a WordPress website, most of the hosting companies don't provide a backup service. I had a company that came to me a few years ago that they had been hacked. And so I got the log into the back end, and oh no, the hackers had deleted everything. They deleted the database. They deleted all the files, and she had no backups. So there was nothing that we could recover. There was nothing that we could get back. So you want to make sure that your systems are all backed up, and backed up off the device, off the system, so it's in the cloud, because if the system gets compromised, you may lose the backups as well. So there is a tool that I use called remote data backup that will back up your PC or Mac and put it out in the cloud. And if worst case, you actually get hit with a ransomware, you can, they have a system that's called a bare metal backup that you can boot off of a USB drive, wipe the hard drive, and then restore the system back from the backup, so that then you don't have to pay the ransomware, and you're taken care of. Tom.
Can you put a link to that in the,
Yeah, it's all on the Boss Academy
oh,
page.
it's on,
So
all right, yeah.
yeah, everything I talked about here today is on that Boss Academy page. So
We,
So if
definitely.
you
we run backups daily on ours, but they're on a separate, hard drive, but here in the house.
Yeah,
And I mean, our backups, are many gigabytes, so
yeah,
I've always thought that trying to upload them to the cloud was not practical.
right. Yeah, no, they can handle that. And the problem with having the local backup on the hard drive, I get it. Two things. If your house burns down, you're screwed. If somebody breaks in and steals your hard drives and your computers, you're screwed.
Yeah.
I have a friend who is a longtime photographer. He had 20,000 photographs, that he's taken over the last 30 years, and everything was backed up on a separate hard drive. He went to the grocery store for 20 minutes, came home, somebody had popped the window, stole his computer and the hard drives. He lost all of his work. It was all gone. Boom,
Wow.
done. Scary.
Brian.
So,
what
Brian,
about what about backing up to the cloud?
what about it?
Does that um what's the word? Does that deal with any of the disaster preparedness?
Yes. So if your house burns down, somebody steals your device dies, you can recover everything because it's in a different system. A few years ago, I had a laptop that the system drive, the system board died. It worked the day before, the next day, just dead. I had to send it in to get it repaired. Their processes, they reformat the hard drive. But when I got the device back, I just sucked it all back down from the backup and I was back up and running again. So, Brian.
Just real quick, I checked the pawn site and good news, I haven't been ripped off.
You haven't been pawned.
I haven't been pawned, and I was just curious if you have any clue or general idea what percentage of people would actually get that kind of response. Is the majority of emails now all been kind of ripped off, or am I one of the
I
few?
would say probably a good chunk of them are. Yeah. So depending on how long you've had your email address, and if you've got personal email addresses or a spouse or a kid, or check them too, because yeah, it's likely that somebody has been out there. So yeah, check it out.
Thanks.
All right. Kind of want to wrap this up real quick. But talking about WordPress, roughly 50% of all businesses' websites are on WordPress. WordPress has a massive appeal for business owners because you can do so much, and it's a wonderful platform. I've been using it for a dozen years at least. But you are as strong as your weakest link, and WordPress out of the box has a lot of security holes that hackers like to exploit. And there's roughly 4 million WordPress websites that got hacked last year. Like I in the intro, I've unhacked multiple websites. It's never pretty. It's a pain in the butt to deal with, and it's expensive. So you need to, if you have a WordPress website, you need to harden the website and lock it down so that you have two-factor authentication. The login page is hidden. There's backdoors that you need to hide. There's a bunch of stuff that you have to do in order to make sure that your systems are secure. So that's kind of what I got. I know people are dropping off here, so appreciate you sticking with me. So do you want to do a quick probe on a website, or do you want me to call it done?
Well, I was going to say we could, but I volunteered to use our website, but I think our website is built on Kajabi and not
Yeah.
WordPress, so I don't think that would do any good.
We
Yeah,
can
and I
use
think
mine.
I put
yeah, and I
mine
think you
in,
put the Crisis Proof 360, which I think is also
Did you put ours in, Tom?
yeah, I did.
Master Book Builders?
yeah,
masterbookbuilders.com.
let me stop my share real quick. There it is. I'll switch over.
Let me type it in again.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay.
All right, let me share real quick. There it is. Okay, there we got the website. So I'm just going to do a real quick little probe here. And so, okay, so you're on WordPress.com. You're not on the free WordPress. Is that correct?
No, well, it's hosted through Bluehost, so
Oh, okay. All right. So you just got it tied to the WordPress.com. So yeah. So anyway, this is the
didn't do it on
login page.
purpose.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So this is the login page, which is open to the public. Hackers know this, and they are going to sit here and beat on this page. You also don't have Google reCAPTCHA installed. So that means that they've got pretty much free reign to try to brute force your website. And I guarantee that they are trying to break in right now. So the number one thing that you want to do is you want to hide this login page, because they're going to try to get in.
That's
Let me look at it.
interesting. How would I hide that page if Bluehost has got it out there?
Yeah, it's not a Bluehost thing. It's a WordPress function. And
Okay.
so the security plugin that I use allows you to basically hide the login page so that then it's not public. And we also want to install the Google reCAPTCHA, which is going to kind of slow them down. It's not going to prevent everything, but it's going to slow them down.
What's the plugin that you use, Thomas?
It's called Solid Secure. It's from a company called solidwp.com. They just renamed themselves. They used to be iThemes Security Pro. And they have a free version. The free version is good enough, but I really recommend the paid version of the plugin, which is $100. It's $99 a year or something. So
We got a
okay.
recommendation from somebody, and I can't remember where it came from, for a platform called WordFence.
Yeah, I do not recommend WordFence. I
Okay.
have unhacked so many websites with WordFence installed.
Okay.
I don't recommend them. It's a reporting tool, and
Okay.
it does not secure your website. Sorry.
Closing that window right now.
So I ran this little command right here, XML RPC.php. I won't explain what that means. And I don't know if you can, I'll zoom in on here, but you can see this server accepts posts. That means that this is a backdoor to WordPress, that it's a legacy backdoor that is still alive. It's not used anymore. But the problem with the XML RPC interface is that a hacker can send 100 login requests at a time to your website. So they can generate a bazillion passwords, and they can sit there and just beat on your website 100 login requests at a time. So we always want to turn off XML RPC.
Okay. So and that I can do somehow.
Yeah. So the security plugin will do that. All right, I'm just going to do a couple more quick things here. So I'm going to look at your security headers, and you get an F. So, which is typical. I see this. So the security headers allow, it's basically rules that it's telling the browser how to behave, and you don't have any security headers set up. And so this means that people can do clickjacking. They can install your website in a frame and send people to a spam website and collect user IDs and passwords and credit cards if you take credit cards, and do a bunch of stuff. So they can also insert what's called a man-in-the-middle attack, because you don't have strict transport security set up, and a bunch of stuff that is going to cause you a whole bunch of grief.
These guys sell ways to fix all that? Is that why?
This is just a tool to report it. They don't fix it. I don't think so. Maybe they do. I don't know. But that's part of my process when I work on a website.
Tom, can you tell us what was your plugin's name again? Solid Secure?
Solid Security, I believe.
Solid Security?
I believe so. It's from a company called Solid WP. So this is the website. Yeah, Solid Security.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's do this last little test here. Okay, so I can see that you are hosted on Bluehost. I know your IP address. Now I could attack the IP address with what's called a DDoS attack, distributed denial of service. You are on the current version of WordPress, so that's good. Most people are out of date on that, and out of date software leaves you vulnerable. The one thing I don't see is you do not have a firewall in front of your website. So we would want to set up a firewall that will send bots and bad actors and everybody off into a black hole. So, and you can see here that, you know, clickjacking protection isn't turned on, content sniffing and so forth. So this is basically not good. So yeah, so that's just kind of the basics. You know, usually when I do an audit on a company's website, it's a 12-page report, but these are sort of the basics. I'm going to pause my sharing here, and I'm going to run a little command, and I'm going to see if I can get your login ID, which I will not share, but oh boy, yep. Yeah, so Tom, I got your login ID. Yvonne, I've got your login ID, and those are the two that I see. So now that I have your login ID, restart the share. How do I restart it? Stop it. Anyway, yeah, now that I have your user IDs, I can sit here on this page and I can brute force it. So I know your user ID. All I have to do is just try 1,000 times to log in, and if I were a hacker, I could get into your website, and then I can do
But you
anything I want
said
to.
like I generally have like 12 characters in a password, and I always put in uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. So you're telling me it would take them 1 billion years to do that, right?
Possibly. But remember the XML RPC page
There's
is open, so they can
backdoors.
hammer your website with 100 login requests at a time.
Yeah.
So
All right.
anyway,
So I got
we're
work to do.
yeah, so just something to think about. And I know we're way over time, so I appreciate
right.
people sticking with me.
Yeah,
That's right. No, that
Yvonne,
was
go ahead.
high value stuff.
So yeah, this was really fantastic. So are you telling me I have to go now and change all 500 places that I have passwords? They are not the same. Every place has a different password. I don't necessarily have I probably have 8 or 12 character passwords.
Mm-hmm.
And Google saves them so that when I
Mm-hmm.
go to places, Google logs me in. You're telling me I can't do that anymore.
I recommend against it.
No.
Yeah. But if you
We're going to
use
look
a
at that one password thing, Yvonne.
yeah,
Don't try yet.
yeah, and if you use a password manager like 1Password or LastPass, as you log in, you can then go, oh, okay, well, this is my bank, this is my credit card, this is Facebook, this is, you know, this is a critical system. I'm going to update the password on this thing, and the tool will generate a random password for you and save it for you, so that then you don't have to, you know, it's not a horrible task. It's just do this as you do. But pick your critical systems, your financial institutions and your credit cards where people can steal your money. Make those a priority. Make your website, I would recommend, updating that information.
Okie dokie.
What
Yeah,
about,
it's a chore. It's a pain in the butt. I get it.
I mean, we do have backup on it. I have Jetpack installed, so it backs up to the cloud, the whole website to the cloud. So
Okay. Well, that's a
um,
good thing. Yep.
And go ahead.
yeah, what about the fact that like LastPass was compromised?
Yeah, they've been compromised once or twice. I'm not sure that it's an issue, because when you create your account, all of your data is encrypted. It's encrypted with 256 character key, whatever, blah, blah. And so one of the LastPass hacks, it wasn't even a hack. Somebody stole somebody's laptop that had a copy of the system on his laptop, which is the dumbest thing on the planet. But I don't believe that it exposed any data because, even if you call LastPass and say, what's my password? They can't even get your password because it's all encrypted. So, but yeah, they have been compromised a couple times. And so that's kind of why I recommend the 1Password.
Tom, real quick, so that when we post this video to Boss Academy, everybody can know again how to get in touch with you. Give us your contact information and how everybody can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so if everybody goes to thomaspetty.com/Boss Academy, it's got a link to my calendar. It's got a link to my contact page. Shoot me a note, get on my calendar, and happy to sit down and chat for a few minutes. And, I don't know most of you because I'm relatively new to the group, but love to get to know you too.
And how long does it take, Tom, for somebody who sits down with you to get their system fully protected?
So if I'm going to harden a site, it's usually an hour to 2 hours. I also do not, sorry, Tom and Yvonne, I don't recommend Bluehost and GoDaddy and Network Solutions. Most of those hosting companies are terrible at website security. I've unhacked multiple websites on all those platforms because they don't have good security. They basically, yep, here's your website. Good luck.
but if we work with you and harden it, does that solve that? Because one thing I'll say about Bluehost is their tech support people, they have live chat, and every time I've had any kind of issue, they solve it in one session. It may take 10-15 minutes to get somebody to come on live, but in another 10-15 minutes, it's solved. I don't have to screw around with emails and
yeah, no, I'm with you there.
they're excellent at that.
Yeah, no, I use a company called WP Engine. They only do WordPress. They don't do email. They don't do anything else. And their chat is 24/7. And, I know my stuff when it comes to WordPress. And every once in a while I get stumped and I get on there and hey, can you help me with this? And they go, oh, yeah, okay, it's taken care of. It's like, dang. So, yeah. So
Able to know what your opinion of Hostinger is, Hostinger.
I don't know them specifically. So yeah, I don't have any good or bad to say one way or the other. So, but I've been using WP Engine for many years, and migrating your site over to WP Engine is really not that big a deal. So I've got my little process that, I move your site, I harden it, I secure it, and then we just point your domain over at the new site and you're off and running. So.
Okay. Greg? You muted,
I was
Greg.
just frantically typing at the same time. Hi, Thomas. Just a question. I currently have my operations guy looking at swapping over from GoDaddy and that kind of thing to an omni-channel setup called odoo.com. I don't know if you're familiar with this. So it's everything's all in the one place. You can build a website. There's CRM systems. There's project management systems. It's having it all in the one place rather than having to log into countless different things.
Right.
So there's the convenience aspect of it, but just from everything that you're saying there, I'm just thinking from the cybersecurity point of view, what do I need to look out for?
Yeah, well, number one, I would make sure that you've got two-factor turned on in those systems, and find out from them, do you back up my system so that it's like, oops, I deleted this page. Can I get it back? That kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I used to use another platform called Entreport. They weren't so much on the website side of things. You could build landing pages, but it had the full CRM and payment processing and everything else kind of all built into the one platform, which is, I totally agree, is a very useful thing, because it's like, okay, I've got constant contact over here. I've got my website over here. I've got a job, you got all these systems and you got to tie them together. It's
that was the thing, we were like, how can we streamline this and automate things and all, all of that side of things. And it just seemed like
absolutely.
We're looking at it, I was like, this seems like a phenomenal solution. And also it was actually going to be cheaper than having like 4 or 5 different other options,
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. So just talk to them about security and, what do they do to keep the hackers out? But WordPress is just sort of a different animal because it's so open source. You can do everything you want with it, create custom code if you want. And a lot of the systems, I assume like that, or, if you go to Squarespace or Wix or Weebly or, some of these builder website systems, they lock you down so tight that you really can't do much with them other than just what they allow you to do. So I'm assuming that
is Squarespace, how's Squarespace by comparison
to what?
Say WordPress and that sort of thing. So, it's really just sort of a drag and drop kind of type thing in terms of being able to.
Right. It's a website. And if you just want a simple website, it's fine. Personally, I don't like the platform because they lock you into their little box and you can't, I need to do a landing page with this and then that. And it's like, it's a pain in the butt to make it work. So, yeah, it's just, if you just want a basic brochure website, they're fine. But it sounds like your systems are a lot more complicated and you have a lot more arms and legs that you need to manage. So it makes sense to kind of put it into one system.
Thanks for that, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I have a couple questions. One, I'm going to go to my web developer and I'm just wondering, why didn't this company or the person who does this for me, have all this in place? Is it just because there's so many things that are changing and they're just not on top of things, or what?
I don't want to disparage people, but most web designers don't know anything about security.
Okay.
They know how to build a website, and there are a lot of great web designers out there. I'm an okay web designer. I can't build great websites, but it's not on their radar. So they just don't, we've got a password, it's good enough, until that day that you get hacked. And then it's like, oh crap. So
okay, well, thank you. And I've got to use it to my advantage to make sure that she is fully on top of things, because I'm doing landing pages for people. My second question is the Brave browser. Do you have any experience with that? And my son and husband got me to switch from, it uses Chrome, but instead of Chrome being on Brave, and it's more secure. Do you have any I went from LastPass to saving my
one with the lion logo, like the red lion. Yeah, I think I've tinkered with that a little bit. I don't really have any experience with it, but I think it could be helpful. But yeah, I haven't played with it much.
Great, thank you.
Okay, sure.
And did you also, were you asking me something about the blog post?
Yeah, so you put that in there with thomaspetty.com/Boss Academy. That's the place where we find.
Yeah, I haven't seen the blog post yet. I sent it to Paul the other day, and but I don't know what the link is yet. So I've got a place for it.
I don't know if he's gotten that loaded up or if he's going to
He
wait.
may not have.
He's
he
got
may
some
not have.
good stuff loaded up on there. I'd suggest that that's where we go. So thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, he hasn't communicated back with me and said, here's the link. So, but hopefully it'll be up in the next day or two.
And then Thomas, was there a link in the chat to contact you and get on your calendar?
Yeah. If you go to
Okay.
thomaspetty.com/Boss Academy.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Meet with Tom. I see it right there. Okay.
There it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is
So Thomas, now how am I supposed to sleep tonight?
With one eye open.
right.
There's a
Thomas,
song about that. All right. This was just wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for looking at ours specifically. Very helpful.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. And yeah, and anybody who wants to chat, just get on my calendar. We'll have a little talk. So happy to do it.
This is good stuff. And Thomas, I really do want to sit down with you, because I think what we're doing at Crisis Proof 360, there's a definite partnership here that you bring an aspect of this that we don't do well.
Right.
And you would be a perfect referral partner for us to get in here and shore up that aspect of what we do.
Cool.
So I want to sit down with that. But one of the things I was going to tell you, I did you know who Chuck Brooks is? So Chuck Brooks is one of the big cyber guys, and he's on LinkedIn all the time. He's got a company that does audits for huge companies like FedEx and Home Depot. And he said that they did an audit of FedEx and found over 4 million devices that were completely unknown to FedEx around the world on their networks.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me.
And I mean, so just my thought was, if FedEx is shipping, critical medicines, vaccines, critical drugs, whatever, and they have to be temperature controlled, right? I mean, somebody gets into the system, just one of those 4 million unauthorized devices gets into that shipment, and millions of doses of critical medications are suddenly no longer usable because somebody, they didn't have any protection. And one of the other things that you talked about
sounds like a scary movie, Jeff.
It does, right? Home Depot, they did an audit in just one store, and they found 9 devices on the Home Depot network. And what they found out was it was employees on break in the break room with their little video games, and their video games were on the store's network, and there's no security on those devices whatsoever. So anybody that's playing this game with these guys from anywhere around the world can be on Home Depot system. And once they're in the one store, they're on the entire network. And it was just 9 morons that were playing. I mean, again, Yvonne, like another one of these slacker movies that you see where the guys are on break, smoking and drinking and playing video games on store time.
And building airplanes. By the way, Tom got that. Or Tom Collins did. I was at Wells Fargo yesterday, and by the way, the tap, just in case, you know how there's skimmers. If you insert your card, it can be skimmed. But the banker was saying, when you can, use the tap, because the skimmers can't take that information.
Right.
So that's a good thing. Because
it's encrypted. Because it's encrypted. Yep.
Yeah. And those on your card where you have a tap like that, it's a one-time thing. It's a one-time thing. So as soon as you do that, like Tom was talking about the what do you call it? I guess the cookie that it creates, token that it creates, is just a one-time token. So even if somebody gets your card number, they can't get the authorization to do that now, because it's got to interface directly with the machine when you're there making the transaction. Right.
You're talking about devices, and this is just a side story, but many years ago when I was at Chevron, there was a server that was on the network. We could ping it, we could log into it, we could see it. We couldn't find it. We physically could not find it. We could not locate it, the box. And sometime later, they were doing some remodeling, and so they were taking some walls down, and the server had actually gotten walled up behind the sheetrock and was sitting there happily chugging away for many, many years, going, I don't know where I am, but
But wasn't there a cable? There had to be a cable connecting it to
well, yeah, it was plugged in, but the construction guys, they were
maybe
like,
through
well,
the
they told us to
ceiling.
build a
Yeah.
wall here, so we built a wall.
Yeah, the wires probably all run through the ceiling.
That sounds like me at Christmas where I hide presents and then I can't find them.
Yeah.
Or me with Easter candy that I think I found a year later.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All right.
anyway,
Well, this was great. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much. I
you.
gotta get going.
yeah, I got a bullet here
Jeffrey, you
too.
did a good job.
All
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Thomas, this was as long a presentation as the one I did on business continuity and asset protection, and it's supposed to be an hour long, and all of a sudden I look up and we're an hour and a half into this thing.
Yeah.
And still asking questions.
Yeah. Well, I was counting on 20 to 30 minutes, so I only had 10 or 12 slides, but lots of great questions. So it was good discussion.
Yeah, and it's vitally important because
Yep.
without what you do and without what I do, it doesn't matter what anybody else does, because these are the things that keep these businesses running. It's just so important, and like you were talking about, it doesn't take a lot of time. It's really about the pre-prep, the planning, and identifying what you need to do. And then once you know those things, you plug these things in, and now you can keep chugging along.
Right. Exactly. And you make yourself less of a target. I will never, after I harden a website, I will never say it's impenetrable, but it's like the hackers are going to try the basic stuff. They're not going to get anywhere. They're going to go, oh, screw it, I'm just going to go try somebody else because there's a bazillion other easy targets.
It's the same thing we talk about in personal protection, where if you have your situational awareness, it doesn't matter where you are. If you look like less of a target, the people that are going to target you go to somebody else that looks like an easier mark that they can get away with.
Exactly.
I want to talk to both of you guys. So Thomas, I'm making an appointment, and Jeffrey, I'd like to talk to you guys. I'm doing a podcast and webinar series, and just short podcasts that and webinars basically that I'm sharing with my network to share with their networks. And I think that some very practical things, they're recorded, but there's just so much practical information from both of you guys that I think could be easily digestible by the audience.
Happy to do it. Yeah, anytime.
Glad to do it. Thomas, when Paul is back up and running, and Angela wasn't here today either, she had something going on, but I think the four of us need to get together, because I think there's a potential here that we can really piggyback off of each other to create something really amazing here.
Love it. Yeah, just let's get it on the calendar. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. Anne, great as always. Eva, thank you so much for being here and your participation, even though we couldn't hear your lovely voice. You got to participate in the chat, so we thank you for that, and just appreciate everybody being here, and we will see y'all next time.
All right. I'll have a great weekend, everybody.
Take care. Thanks.
All right. See ya.